So here's a question for you. Why on earth would a company build two different products when one seems like it could do the job? It just feels inefficient, right? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack today with this case study on two air purifiers, the P1 and the I1. To get to the heart of it, let's imagine we're listening in on a conversation between the startup's founder and, say, a skeptical government procurement advisor.
Our first idea was the obvious one. Simple, elegant. One perfect air purifier for everybody. A single unit for your home, your office, a school, you get the picture. From a design and manufacturing standpoint, it just makes sense.
I get it. I do. It looks great on a whiteboard. But I buy this stuff for institutions, and I have to ask, is that actually realistic? I mean, can one single product really work for my world of government contracts and for a family who just needs something for their kid's bedroom? They feel like totally different planets.
So you must have some data on this. What did your research actually tell you?
We did, and honestly, it proved your point completely. Our market research didn't just find different customer types. It found two entirely separate worlds, with a huge chasm right down the middle.
Just look at how they make a decision. The home user, it's almost all about that initial price. How much does it cost today? But the institutional buyer, they're obsessed with something called total cost of ownership, or TCO. They're thinking about service plans, how long filters last, energy bills over 5 years. These aren't just slightly different priorities, they're polar opposites.
And the budgets? Whoa, it was staggering. We found that our institutional clients were not only willing, but actually expected to pay 3 times more for a product that was built to last and perform. A single price tag it was never going to work. And this means you can't even talk to them the same way. For the P1 home user, our ad is all about clean air that costs less than your phone charger. Simple. For the I1 institutional buyer, it's a 72.6% lower total cost of ownership. If you tried to say both things about one product, you'd just confuse everybody and sell to nobody.
Okay, I'll give you that. The market differences are pretty stark, but I've seen some seriously clever engineering in my day. Couldn't your team just design a smart modular unit that could kind of do both? I mean, surely it's not impossible.
That's exactly what we thought at first. But the problem wasn't just about marketing. It was about physics. The actual technical needs were, and this is the most important word here, irreconcilable.
Okay, so the biggest issue is airflow. The P1, for a little bedroom, needs to push maybe 15 cubic meters of air an hour. The I1, for a big classroom with people coming and going, needs to push 150. That is a 10-to-1 difference. You physically cannot design one fan that's super quiet and efficient at both of those speeds. It just doesn't work.
And that one problem creates a domino effect. For the P1, our non-negotiable goal was to keep power use under 2 watts, period. To do that, we had to ditch any sensors and just run it on a simple timer. But for the I1, our institutional clients demand sensors. They need to prove compliance, they need to see that AQI number. For them, a sensor isn't a feature, it's a requirement. And they're fine with a slightly higher power draw to get it.
And then there's maintenance. The home user wants a cheap, disposable filter they can toss every couple of months and not think about. The institutional buyer, who's thinking about that TCO, needs heavy-duty, washable parts that'll last for years. You simply can't find a material that's both cheap enough to be disposable and tough enough to be washed for 3 years. It's a conflict baked right into the material science.
I hear you on the technical side, I do. But the business guy in me is still asking questions. This is the kind of thing we talk about in boardrooms all the time. Why not just build one premium model with all the bells and whistles? Basically, just build the I1 and sell it to everyone. Or go the other way. Build the simple P1 and then try to upsell people on a sensor package later. Why deal with the headache of 2 completely different products and supply chains?
It's a great question, and it's one we had to answer for ourselves with cold, hard numbers. A universal product would have a component cost of about 3,480 rupees. To our P1 home users, that means a retail price that's an absolute non-starter. And to our I1 institutional users, it means a machine built with cheaper parts that doesn't actually meet their performance needs. So it's too expensive for one group and not good enough for the other. It fails for everyone.
And look, this isn't just theory. We actually built it. In September of 2025, we prototyped this exact universal unit just to see if the single product idea could work in the real world. The results were, well, they were very clear.
When we showed this universal unit to our P1 home users, the reaction was brutal. 83% of them just flat out rejected the price. 91% said it was way too big for their room, and more than 3/4 said the whole idea of washable filters was just too complicated.
And it was the same story with the I-1 institutional buyers, just for opposite reasons. 2/3 said it wasn't powerful enough. A whopping 82% said that without a visible air quality sensor, they couldn't even get the purchase approved. And then, nearly 75% said they'd need a service contract, which the unit wasn't even designed for. So yeah, the prototype was a total flop on both sides.
So that failed prototype really hammered the point home. The dream of a universal product was dead. The only way we were going to win was by splitting our strategy. But we found a really clever way to do it.
Here's the secret sauce. We didn't actually build two totally separate products from the ground up. We engineered them so that 68% of their guts, the internal components, are exactly the same. This let us be efficient like we had one platform, but still deliver two products that felt custom-made.
So here's how that breaks down. The core brain, like the control algorithm and the fan logic, that's all shared. But the parts that really matter to the user are different. The P1 gets that simple disposable filter and a timer. The I1 gets the heavy-duty washable filter, a sensor-based brain, and a bigger body to handle all that airflow. Each one is perfectly tuned for its specific job.
And once we did that, our whole sales and marketing plan just clicked into place. We could aim the P1 at e-commerce sites and scream about the low price. At the same time, our direct sales team could walk into a facility manager's office with the I1 and talk about TCO, compliance, and government contracts. You could never, ever do that with a single compromised product.
It all sounds very compelling, but at the end of the day, what were the results? The results were pretty incredible. First off, we got into our target markets 3.7 times faster than our projections for a single product.
Next, because our marketing for each product was so specific and clear, our cost to get a new customer dropped by 78%.
And maybe the best part, because customers were getting a product that was actually designed for their needs, our product returns and support calls went down by 65%.
So what you're really saying is that when you try to be everything to everyone, you end up being nothing special to anyone. It really makes you stop and ask, is designing for some imaginary average user really a path to success? Or is it just a recipe for making a product that nobody truly loves?